And joining me now is Assemblyman Briaan Bergen, who represents parts of Morris and Passaic counties, who also attended that briefing today. And I'm hearing a lot of frustration from lawmakers. Do you think that we're facing a serious national security threat, especially now after hearing the Assemblywoman speak?
Well, it's quite possible. I mean, today when I went down there for this briefing, I was pretty optimistic actually. I was one of the people who was like, don't worry about it. It's probably FedEx or UPS or Amazon just testing out new delivery vehicles or something. And I was pretty optimistic when I got there. T- Total chaos. These people don't know anything that's going on. They admit they know nothing about the drones. They don't know where they're coming from, where they're going to, who's operating them. And what really made me infuriated today was the fact that the state police had a helicopter hovering above one of these drones. And the commander of the state police decided to take them back and have them go land out of fear for their safety. They should have monitored where this thing went. 30 minutes later, the same colonel says to us, "Oh, it'd be really helpful to know where these things land and take off from." And I'm like, "Well, why did you freaking follow it with your helicopter?" I mean, it's mind blowing the incompetence we're dealing with on this particular issue. We have the resources, we have the manpower, we have the expertise, we have the money. There is no reason why we should not know what's going on here other than ineptitude.
And not to mention the federal government. Why, at that point, you would think if they thought this was a potential danger to state law enforcement, why wasn't the federal government called in at that point? Why wasn't the military called up? When you think about this, we have almost $1 trillion in the budget between the U.S. military and our national intelligence agencies, $870 billion for defense, and then another $100 billion for intelligence. And yet, literally, nobody's doing a darn thing right now. There are dozens
No,
of these drones.
this isn't a lack of resources. This is a lack of action. That's what it is. It's a lack of action. It's not
Do we
taking it
still have
seriously.
a president in charge in Washington right now, or did he decide
Well,
to just go off to Delaware and sleep?
I don't know. We should, but I mean, the reality is this is something that should be being handled here within New Jersey. We have the resources within New Jersey to handle it, but the federal government's involved. I mean, there was somebody there from the Department of Homeland Security today, and they were giving resources to the state police. They talked about one thing they're bringing in that it's like a radar device. It tracks drones. It's able to decipher a drone versus a bird. And here's what really pissed me off today, and part of the reason why I got up and walked out was because they said there's this thing that we need. Department of Homeland Security is going to give it to us. One of my colleagues asked when it was coming. They said, "Oh, in a couple days." A couple days, like a couple days. We're dealing with places we don't know where they're coming from, going to, who they are. A couple days is unacceptable. They should be putting that sucker on a van tonight, wherever it's at, and a hot shot it straight here, and that should have been on the ground today, doing its thing today. It's just, again, it's laziness, it's ineptitude, it's a failure to respond appropriately.
Look, we have Joint Air Force Base here in New Jersey that has lots of helicopters, military helicopters. These people are trained for a living to do this. There's no reason why, if we don't know what this is and who these people or where they're from, etc., why? Why are the military helicopters going up and escorting these drones out? You don't have to shoot them down, but escort them out, or at least make a very clear, send a very clear message to whoever's operating the drones that this is the last time you're going to send them up until you identify yourself.
Yeah, just follow them to where they're going. I mean, look, I want to be very clear. I don't blame the military for this. I was a military attack helicopter pilot, an Apache pilot, and so I don't blame them for this. They need to be called into action. The resources need to be tapped by the state. We need to take advantage of the resources around us, and it's a matter of them, the state police, the FBI, Department of Homeland Security here in New Jersey, identifying the resources they need to solve this problem and getting the friggin' resources. If they can't get it just by asking, tell their legislators, and we'll go to the governor and demand they get the resources. But, I don't blame the military here. It's not their job to run around states asking what they need. It's the state's job to identify issues, ask for support when they need it. I think we have all the resources we need right here. I mean, all we're asking you to do is to follow the friggin' drone to where it lands. If you can go up with a state helicopter and get eyes on it like they did, watch it. Do a relief on station, put another helicopter up when that one's low on fuel, keep eyes on this target until it has to go back and land, which eventually it will have to do, follow with ground assets, and figure out where the heck the thing lands and solve the problem. This is not complicated. Give me a platoon full of guys, a couple helicopters, I'll get it done in a day.
Who at the state is responsible for this? I mean, does the buck stop with the governor?
Oh, yeah, of course the buck stops with the governor. All the resources are at the governor's disposal. The National Guard's at the governor's disposal. The state police at the governor's disposal. All the resources belong to the governor. And we have one of the most powerful governors in the nation in terms of the flexibility to do things. He should be doing stuff, and he's not. He's talking about how it's not a credible threat, and he's over easing the population and not taking the necessary action to do what's right. And quite frankly, we are a leaderless state right now. The governor's not leading. The colonel of state police isn't leading. We need people who lead to get this done. It's not happening.
All right, Assemblyman Bergen, we know you're fired up. We appreciate you taking the time and joining us tonight. And please, if you get more information, reach out to us. We'll get you right on the air and get this out to the folks. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You got it, man. Thanks.